Hi, my name is Sergio Davalos. I'm going to be going over predictive analytics and discuss how it can impact you in your life and also potentially why you might be interested in that. So I'm going to cover basically what do we mean by predictive analytics, the benefits of it, how it works, and talk about the workflow, and then give you some examples of the use of predictive analytics, and then talk about some careers possible in predictive analytics. So when we talk about predictive analytics, we're referring to the use of historical data, use of statistical, analytical, machine learning, and artificial intelligence to derive or predict outcomes associated with um, unseen data. So we use data, and then from that we derive some knowledge about that data, and then apply it to unseen data. The historical data is used to derive mathematical models and there's a variety of different mathematical models that are used that consider key trends or patterns. The models, as I mentioned, are just applied to unseen data and to provide these predictions and classification. Using a predictive model or a predictive analytic model, we can answer some such questions as how long before this machine needs maintenance? How likely is this customer going to leave our phone service? And these are typical questions that we can ask, similar type of questions using predictive analytics. We can ask classification questions such as, does this patient have diabetes? In other words, we identify this patient from other patients. Or is this customer a credit risk? And these are all questions that are common. Predictive analytics can help companies identify actions that can achieve these positive operational or strategic changes. This can help us reduce risk or improve our operations or increase our revenue. Basically, predictive analytics focus on addressing the question, based on my current data, what is most likely going to happen? And what can I do to change these outcomes and so I can analyze these outcomes if I don't like it? Predictive analytics typically starts with a business goal and then uses heterogeneous, meaning by diverse types of large data sets that are used to derive models that can generate clear, actionable outcomes that can help us identify, achieve our business goal. So, as you can be thinking about at this point, is that there are benefits to using predictive analytics. From a customer perspective, businesses can gain a competitive advantage by using a CRM system, customer relationship management system, to better understand our customers. We can better understand our future demands in terms of products or services that we can then make necessary adjustments in either production or inventory or staffing. We can predict customer response. That gives us better inventory planning by predicting their preferences or purchases, and even offering going customer specific services or coupons or products that they might be interested. This can also lead to risk reduction because we have a better understanding of an organization's business environment and then understand those factors that can potentially impact the organization's profitability. Again, going if we think about that, it can help us determine future actions, better response. We can forecast inventory and manage shipping. We can use it to set ticket prices or even determine aircraft routing. Hospitality and other service industries can utilize it to forecast service utilization on a daily, hourly, and weekly, even nightly basis. So these using predictive analytics can also help us target our marketing efforts so we can attract better customers or retain or nurture our better customers. It can be used to detect criminal behavior, such as fraudulent credit cards, or to identify potential uh, cyber attacks. There are some limitations in that predictive analytics can't make the management decision. Poor decision making can still occur, but predictive analytics can provide us the information so that we can come up with a better answer. So poorly derived models um, are up to the predictive analyst, and so it's up to the analyst not to come up with bad models. This can be mitigated by having people with the right skill set and the necessary knowledge and training. The typical workflow in predictive analytics, uh, we can talk about that. And so basically, let's consider the problem of deriving a model of energy load forecasting to predict energy demand. So why is this important? Energy producers, grid operators, and traders, they need accurate forecasting to be able to make decisions for managing the load in the electric grid. It's not uncommon for us to see news about problems with the energy grid or disruption in the energy providing. So in this case, we want to be able to better assess. Using the data that's available and applying predictive analytics, grid operators can turn this information into actionable insights so they can have an understanding of how to deal with this. The typical workflow associated with deriving a model, predictive analytics model, is we have data, we use that to derive the model, then we have new data and we apply it to the derived model, and that gives us an outcome. From a step-by-step perspective for looking at predictive energy flows, we import the data from a variety of different internal, external, this is the heterogeneous part, sources. And this is the data import. We can get energy load, regional weather, temperature, and so on. Then we clean that data to remove any kind of problematic data points, and then we aggregate that data. So this is known as the data prep stage. Then we develop a accurate model, and we apply a variety of different analytics tools, and we train that model. We train that model based on the data set, and we assess its performance. That's the modeling stage. Finally, we deploy the model, we identify the best model, and then we put it out there into the field in many different platforms, programs. It could be in mobile devices and so on with their servers. In terms of real world examples of using predictive analytics, I've talked about some of the benefits. It can be used to improve everyday business operations or help a company improve a competitive differentiation, competitive advantage. So, for example, it can help identify customers that are likely, as I mentioned, to abandon a service or product. This is known as churn. So, which customers might leave, and then predictive analytics can give us some information in terms of how to keep this customer based on what other customers responded to. It can help us in terms of targeting market campaigns to the customers that are most likely to buy from us. We can identify those customers with a higher probability. And then we can all focus on marketing to only those customers. This gives us better return on our revenue. It can help us in planning. We can have better customer service by planning appropriately. So, for example, Disney World uses demand planning to determine whether they have enough staff or resources. In the automotive field, we can see how we've got autonomous vehicles now being proposed, and we can use predictive analytics to analyze the data from the different vehicles, or even use with different cars uh, in terms of driver assistance or connecting vehicles. Aerospace, it's not unusual to have many computers focusing on the aircraft, and so it can help us monitor aircraft performance. I mentioned energy production already, and so we can use sophisticated tools to help us forecast energy price or demand. Or maybe we can look at identifying credit risk models to reduce or predict credit risk. In terms of health, we might use it to predict epidemics or the probability of somebody having a particular disease or being readmitted. In terms of manufacturing, we might be able to predict machine failures by monitoring that can the main, by monitoring the machines and predict our maintenance requirements that can then help reduce downtime or minimize waste. In terms of medical devices, we might be able to use algorithms that can spot asthma or COPD problems. Now, if you're interested in going into using predictive analytics or into the analytics field, here's an overview of some roles in terms of what you might um, identify. There's the data scientist roles, there's the technical project management roles, there's the intermediate analytics role, there's the strategy roles, and then there are reporting roles. And so I mentioned there are reporting, business analytic roles, strategy roles, and data science roles. Reporting roles, early on, this was the major category for business analytics. This was the starting point. This was the predominant. So this was focused on what happened, the description basically, rather than why did it happen. And as this evolved, these roles evolved over going from what happened to why did it happen. And a lot of it had to do with the fact that we were using more sophisticated processes and the use of machine learning. This is a typical starting point for getting into the analytics uh, industry. We have moved from what's happening now to what's going to happen, and this is the area where we're talking about predictive analytics. So we move from what happened, why did it happen, what's happening, and what's going to happen. The next area of analytics roles are the intermediate, as we call them, um, in terms of business analytics. Typically, economics, statistics, computer science, or business analytics graduates fall into this role here. It's expected that people understand both business and analytics. The focus can is diverse, ranging from business intelligence problem to what is happening now, to being focused on specific business-focused problems such as product pricing. So, for example, in product pricing, you're trying to find the optimal price for your company products. So we can take a very general perspective to a very focused perspective. As I mentioned, the majority of these positions involve knowing business or the business and working with leading edge analytics tools such as deep learning, which you may have heard about. Typically, these careers can then go toward strategic roles or data science roles. As an aside, it is possible from here to go into the tech product manager, and here, these roles, are, while attractive, they're not easy to get. You're, in this role, you're developing a technology product. The strategy roles, the role of strategist is to identify areas where the organization can take a competitive advantage and capitalize on those areas. Large organizations have strategists at both at the corporate level and at the business level. While the corporate strategy may be more focused on the expense side, um, business strategy is more focused on maximizing revenue. So the corporate strategy is when you work on the corporate level questions such as what's the right business portfolio for your company? What's the right organizational structure? Should we go into this new market? So these are big picture, long-term types of approaches. On the other, so an example for a bank's corporate strategy might be to acquire or close businesses related to investment, retail banking, or credit card. So merger and acquisition is a good example of that. The business strategy is linked more to a particular line of business. So maybe they're focusing on revenue from credit card customers. Both of these strategies, strategic roles require estimating benefits from changes in product features or process change or technology investments. Analytics professionals are well suited for these roles because of their understanding of the business, their understanding of the use of analytics, and know how to use the latest technologies to create a competitive advantage. Finally, the data scientist roles. These are there is a position in this roles for specialists such as speech analytics, text analytics, image processing, video processing, medicine simulation, material simulation, all very specialized and highly in demand. And data science roles also can be focused on all of the other aspects that we talked about, but also developing new methods and new techniques. So to excel here requires knowing the latest tools and technologies, knowing the relevant programming languages, and also having the ability to explain complex models in simple terms to the clients or business. In summary, predictive analytics has a focus on the future using past knowledge. Organizations are finding greater and greater benefit from using analytics. And there are steps in applying analytics, as we saw the workflow. And then there are several career paths possible. This concludes the discussion overview on predictive analytics.